Bazinga. We're back on another Tuesday. We'll see how long this one goes. I just wanted to share some of the thoughts I was having a little bit today. We talk so much about discipline and the things that come with it, self-discipline mostly, keeping yourself in check, keeping your actions in check, keeping your aura correct for yourself, and doing all kinds of things, in regards to your own self-discipline. And I realized, that a lot of the things that we talk about, and a lot of the things that we try to push for people to handle with other folks. I don't know how to explain that. Let me see if I can try that again. When you start, having respect for somebody else's story, or somebody else in a moment of struggle, or in a moment of discipline, or however that plays out. I was thinking a little bit today that having a little bit of perspective for somebody that you might be talking to or helping out, or things like that. Little side thoughts. Part of keeping yourself in check and listening to your thoughts and things like that mean taking a step back, without responding immediately. Sometimes it's more than worth it to take a step back and think about things before you react. Becoming reactive, that can be detrimental to a situation. It can be destructive to a situation, and it's something that I practice with myself every single day, is not not responding necessarily in the way that I want to, or not being reactive in necessarily the way that I want to. And I'm going to tie in a few different things when we talk about perspective and stuff like that, but part of not being reactive is thinking about the scenario in a split second, and thinking about where you being reactive could take things good, bad, positive. And these are all things that are helpful to think about perspective when you're getting ready to respond to things in your life, or respond to people in your life. When it comes to people and such, maybe it's somebody you may not know very well. Maybe it's somebody you know extremely well. Part of that perspective could be taking a quick second to maybe understand, to maybe try and sidestep where they're coming off, saying the things that they're saying, or acting the way that they're acting, and maybe your reaction, or maybe your response could be better. And I understand what I'm asking for, and I understand also too. A lot of people would probably respond to what I'm asking by saying something along the lines of, "Well, fuck them. If they're gonna disrespect, or blah blah blah, they don't deserve that respect. They don't deserve that from me." And I kind of don't vibe with that kind of shit. I don't really find any reason to step outside of general conversation for problem solving. You don't need to react. And that's what I'm talking about when I say general conversation. General conversation can go a long way. And I know, again, that's something that a lot of people are going to say, well, fuck it, they don't deserve the time of day. That's called a reaction, and I don't think that's something that's really worth doing to another person. It's kind of fucked up. And again, that comes along with the things that I say, stuff like, try to do your best by people. What they do with that is really not your problem. And I know it sounds weird and it sounds fucked up, but if you do right by yourself, and you do right by your fellow human the best that you can, really, the worst case scenario, unfortunately, is if that's going to keep getting turned away and turned off, then they're going to remove themselves from your life. and at the end of the day, that's not something that you need to take personally or be mad about. It sucks. It really sucks to think about it that way, but part of the discipline that I've tried to been really trying to train myself with, is just constantly trying to respond collected, if that makes any sense. Respond with a collected response. It's just better than responding reactively. It's very situational. These are things. This is a big gray area that we're talking about today. So I kind of understand why this could be just a fucking dead end, but it's something to think about. Everybody's circumstances are going to be a little bit different here. Obviously, mine are going to be mine. Yours are going to be yours. Things like that. But when I talk about perspective and responding with a second thought, in your head, I'm referring to stuff like, before you react to something, maybe just taking a split second to just, whether so like if you know that person, maybe well, maybe not so well, the collective thought would be, shit, maybe they're having not so great of a day. Maybe you know a little bit more about that person. Shit, maybe I just said something that was kind of a bad note in their past. There's a million different ways to skin that cat, right? But I feel like it's really important for us as one, adults, as for two, as humans, that are all fighting the same bullshit in this world, which are much higher beings than the average people here. We're all in this together. So fighting each other about stupid shit is just, I think it's just stupid, like I said. But when you start talking about perspective, like I said, it's a split-second discipline, and giving yourself the option to think before you respond to a situation. I find it extremely helpful. Yeah, you're gonna have to fucking argue with your ego. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. That is gonna be a part of it that a lot of us, have had to deal with and are gonna have to deal with. You're gonna have to fight with your ego, yeah, because at the end of the day, there is an ego part, an egotistical part of us, most of us, that says that we need to win this battle, we need to be right. That's the truth of the matter. But when you can start getting over the internal bullshit of your ego, and you start realizing how maybe unimportant it is to ruin your day with a reaction, you start thinking about shit like that. Like, is this situation really merit me fucking ruining the rest of my day? Because people can say all the fuck they want, that they don't feel, or that they don't give a shit, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't give a shit. But what goes on in your head is all on you. Because I can sit here and say the same thing, but I will tell you one thing, that I am still human, and there are some times when people that mean the world to me can say shit that'll ruin my fucking whole day. Or there is moments that if I let it, or if it goes that far south, that there's things that can happen to me from people I've never met in my entire life, can ruin my whole day. We're human. It's a part of the nature. It's a part of our ego. But we can control some of that, and we can control how we respond to that. And sometimes that perspective is a beautiful thing, It's hard to do, and it takes a lot of fucking discipline to shut your mouth sometimes, and it takes a lot of discipline to shut up the ego that starts barking in your brain too. But it is possible. I can tell you that right now. It's very possible, and it can happen if you let it. But that's entirely up to you. Also, too, another part of perspective. This is kind of a little bit deeper. It's kind of a little bit more comprehensive. But when you start talking about situations in your life, maybe you're trying to work on the way that you respond to certain things. Yeah, let's go with that, because otherwise it's kind of a big gray area also. But when you start really looking into yourself, and you start allowing yourself to start working through why certain points of your life are as reactive as they are, or maybe you don't like certain parts, or maybe you get to start really breaking down. And this is the part that gets a little scary, because when you start thinking about why you are the way that you are, you're gonna start understanding. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be fixable right away, because it's not. Understanding is the fucking first step to working out of what you might consider bad habits or bad circumstances in your own self. But that's where this perspective really comes into play. I have to understand at the end of the day who I am, the things that I saw, the things that educated me in this world up until this point, the things that I have learned in my story up until this point, and I have to take all those things into consideration when I talk to other people in my life that may have not seen any of the things that I've seen. Right? It would be unfair for me to refer to certain points in my history or in my teachings or in my struggles. It would be unfair for me to refer to people that I know for a fact, have never seen half the shit that I have. Now, having said that, it's not a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. It doesn't make me better. It doesn't make me worse. It's just a different story. And that's where again, perspective comes into play. And you have to allow yourself that processing time to understand that every single person, minus, small details, is going to have a completely different path than you. And that's really the beauty of this world. But that is part of what you start developing, not only out of respect for yourself, but out of respect for the people that you're talking to. I want the ability to speak to anyone, whether I know them or not, with more care. I'm not very good at it. I know that, and I'm trying to learn for myself. But I want that ability, and I want the egotistical side of me, to go further away, and I'm working on that. So that is my perspective. I can't expect anybody else to be who I am. It's just not going to work that way. So there are people in this world that are a part of my life that have, as far as I can tell, my perspective of them is incredible, because of the things that I think that their knowledge base and the things that they've been through are valuable to me, and I respect that. But again, they look at it the same way that I do. It's just they don't know any different, and I don't know any different from mine. They don't know any different from theirs, but we can see each other on two completely different levels. Perspective, you see? I think really what I wanted to express a little bit more of today was probably just in your general day-to-day, a little bit more perspective on what somebody else, just day-to-day interactions. It's so easy and it's so possible for conversations or interactions to go so far south very quick, whether it's road rage, whether it's getting hit by a door at the gas station, whether it's somebody taking their sweet-ass time, whatever the fucking case may be. It's so easy. Everybody's in such a hurry. We're all struggling through the same bullshit. Gas prices are fucking spiking again. You know what I mean? Like, it all goes so far south so fucking fast. So if you can, keep a leash around your reactive thoughts or your reactive comments, even in just your day-to-day, and train yourself a little bit better to be a collective calm. There's no need to be in a hurry, and I'm gonna say a couple of different things, and then I'm gonna tell you why I say these couple of things. But there's no need to be in the rush that we're all forced to be in, right? There's no need to be constantly worried about shit that we can't control. There's no need for all these things to ruin our day-to-day moods with interactions with people that we don't know or fucking people that we dearly love. It sucks because they do ruin our interactions, and it can ruin your day. It can ruin your fucking week, I say those things like they're easier said than done, right? That's not what I mean. But I say those things And I say those things because I feel it's so important to carry the perspective in your head that those things are real, but I feel like it's so much more important to fucking pay attention to yourself and not fight each other because of how real those things are. Because that's really all that those things are doing to us as people, is they're pinning us all fucking against each other. And those things are putting us all face to face, toe to toe, and at the end of the day, that's going to be our demise, you know? The separation, the divided nature of what things have become, and it sucks. It sucks a lot. My typical day-to-days are filled with random interactions, people I never meet, and people I probably won't ever meet again. And I feel like it's part of my responsibility, for one, not only because of my job, because nobody fucking wants to see me anyway, which is okay, I didn't mean that the way it sounded negatively, but also too, like, as a human, as a self-respecting man, as a man that's supposed to be a protector and a provider, all these things, to be a good interaction. You know, it's only gonna last 10 minutes of their life, or at the very most, like maybe an hour, and there's nothing wrong with, sending a little hope and a little joy somebody else's way. I mean, the only thing I can say, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pushback on that, whether I get to hear about it or not, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say fucking fuck them, nobody deserves the time of day, like I said, or that's super gay of them, or whatever the fucking case may be. I really don't care, to be honest with you. You don't have to tell anybody about it, but do yourself a fucking favor and try it. And any interaction throughout your day on a more positive note, and you're going to walk away floating, and I'm going to tell you what, you're going to want to do it more. Why? Because it's natural. It's natural for us to care about each other. It's natural for us to think about each other. It's natural for us to have perspective about each other. All these things are normal for us. It's just because the world disagrees with that doesn't mean that it's not fucking there. I know it's there. It's just harder to get to now because the world is a much different place. So I would encourage, everybody. It takes a little bit of soul searching, and it takes a little bit of self-discipline. You might even have to go back and and recover some of your tracks. But I really recommend it. These are going to be the only steps that we can take, as a society, for one, and as a multicultural society that can produce beautiful things left and right. But these are going to be some of the important steps that we're going to need to adopt to spread the love that's going to keep us all together, and the binding glue that's going to keep us together. And that's, I'll say it a million times again, but that's the only thing that's going to save us is love. And without everybody trying at least a little bit, like I said, you don't have to fucking tell anybody. You don't have to brag about it. I don't really give a shit how you want to propose it online, or if you don't want to, look like a loser or whatever your ego's telling you in that moment. Sure, I don't care, but try it. Try it on your own. Try it in an instance where, try it in a random instance where nobody's gonna see. I really don't give a fuck, but try it. Try it nonetheless, and see if you can't, walk away floating a little bit just by simply ending an interaction on a fucking positive note. It's pretty incredible. And it, the more and more that you push yourself to do things like this, and the more and more that you push yourself to think just a little bit longer about the situation that you may not have perspective on in the beginning, the easier it's going to be. And the more you're going to want to do it, by the way. That was, it's the most beautiful part of it, because for one, I understand the fear that comes with all this, because fear is a big part of it. Face-to-face interaction is terrifying now because we have so much social media. So it's like, I get it. I really do understand, but it's there's gonna come a time, where even in a moment, somebody might be leaning on you, somebody you don't know, and what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna let your ego take over in that moment and tell them to fuck off? There's a million different circumstances. There's a million different gray areas. All I'm saying is try it. Give yourself a second thought. Give the person a second thought. Give the situation a second thought, and see if it can't be, remedied just a little bit better. And I bet you'll be fucking pleasantly surprised. Yeah, keep that fucking ego in check, because that ego will destroy any bond you try to start. If you let it. If you fucking let it. But this one's going to be short. I just wanted to share a little bit of that. Hopefully a little inception, play with your brain before you go to sleep. Introduce some new thoughts and new ideas. It's all positive. It's all love. Do your thing. Take your time and give yourself the respect, and give everything else the respect. Again, you do right. It's not on you what becomes of it. Just do right. Yeah, do right. I love you.